Good morning everyone, it's Pierre speaking. It's Tuesday morning, it's the 14th of March 2017. Time is about 8 o'clock GMT time when we made this video clip. Let's have a look at some charts. We had a couple of Earth and Sky trading zones that are already triggered. Starting off with the Euro Index 4-hour chart this morning, everything tells us to long on the 4-hour and the daily. We close 116 pips higher than the previous week's opening, so we have to flip from the bottom of last week to the highs that we've got. Then we've got a zone starting at 130 coming down to 99.92. In the trading zone we've got a 55 EMA coming in at 99.99. At this level, psychological level plus a weekly pivot point, and if we look to the left of the chart, previous support resistance. So that will be my main area where I would like to take longs, 99.99, as we have some EMAs and a roadblock there. If that break for some reason, keep your eyes on this level here, 99.74 coming down to 99.61. We have two 200 EMAs there plus a 55 EMA, so that can be a big support level. Possible counter trades, I will re-look at 101.05, but mainly at 101.46 for possible counter trades, taking profit at 150 with that counter trade. Euro US dollar 4-hour chart. Here the 4-hour tells us to long, the daily tells us to short. Last week we closed 64 pips higher than the opening. I'm going to flip the 4-hour on this chart, guys, because the Euro Index tells us to long, Euro JPY tells us to long, Euro Pound tells us to long. And remember, Euro US dollar is correlated with all of that. So if we flip the 4-hour from the bottom to the top, then we've got a zone starting at 620 coming down to 574. In the zone, we've got a 200 EMA at 613, 608 a 55 EMA, so that will be my roadblock where I want to look for longs. Just before we get to the zone, keep your eyes on this level here, 629, 637, as that is the weekly pivot point and a 55 EMA as well. If you look to the left of the chart, previous support resistance. So keep your eyes on that for possible first roadblock. If that breaks, definitely this area here. Euro JPY 4-hour chart, everything sheltered as the long, 4-hour and the daily, everything is green. Last week we closed 179 pips higher than the opening, so we flipped the 4-hour from the bottom to the top. Then we've got a zone 121.45 coming down to 120.73. In the zone, 55 EMA at 121.28 will be my first area, and then this area here. We've got a 200 EMA, a 55 EMA, plus a weekly pivot point at 120.86 for possible roadblock to go long then. Counter trades, I will only look at 123.67 for turnaround, for profit take at 121.84. Look at the Euro Pound 4-hour chart, this one is also going up. 4-hour tells us to look for longs, daily tells us to look for longs. Last week we closed 150 pips higher than the opening. What do? We flip from the bottom to the top. We've got a zone starting at 8706 coming down to 8665. In the zone we've got a weekly pivot point plus the 55 EMA, so that will be my main area to look for possible longs. It was also previous support resistance there. If we make new highs this week and we didn't get the pullback, follow it with your flip so that the Earth and Sky zone can move. Possible counter trades only at 8839 for possible turnaround to 8752 profit take area. If for some reason this 55 at 8671 doesn't hold, this main area here, be careful, price can drop and go and visit this daily 55 EMA and 200 EMA, which is the 4-hour 200 EMA psychological level. I will re-look then to long from here. That's now only if 8671 breaks. Pound US dollar 4-hour chart. This one triggered yesterday already. I showed you in my Monday write-up that this will be the zone 2216 going up to 2258. Everything shouts at us to look for shorts. What did price do? We pulled back nicely into the zone. We found resistance at the 55 EMA at 2237. If you look to the left of the chart, previous support resistance, and we had the turnaround there. Now price is currently hitting the first profit take areas. Why is that a first profit take area? Remember, that was previous support at last week's low area, so it's a key level, so that can be profit take area, and if that breaks, main profit take at 2120. where I will relook then for possible counter longs, going up to 2199 again. Correlated pound JPY daily chart. I'm going to flip the daily chart on this one, guys. Last week we were quite flat. We only closed 54 pips lower than the opening. If we flip previous month from the high to the low, then we've got a zone 141.28 going up to 142.71. In the zone we've got a 200 EMA, so I'll keep my eyes on that. However, this level here, the 58.2 FIP at 140.61 is huge. A couple of times we bumped our heads there. There's a 55 EMA, there's a 200 EMA there, there's a monthly pivot point there. And if we drop down to the 4-hour chart, look how many times we bumped this level. This week there's also a weekly pivot point there. So there's loads of reasons in this area here. 140.61 for possible short trades that can set up from there. Aussie US dollar 4-hour chart. If we look at this one, also here I'm going to flip the 4-hour. Okay, last week we closed minus 53 pips, lower than the opening. And if we do that, we flip from the high to the low, then we've got a zone 7562 going up to 7597. Here too, price came into our trading zones, and here we had two 55 EMAs, the daily and the 4-hour 55. And if you look to the left of the chart, previous support resistance. Now I took this trade with a forward order. I had an order lying there. My stop was on the other side of this 200 EMA and the psychological level. And if we quickly have a look at that, we had a stop of about 25 pips. Now price triggered and we're busy dropping potential. Oh, that was a I need some water here, dry throat. Profit take area 7526. Why? It's a problem area for me, guys. It's the daily 200 EMA, so that can form a roadblock. But if that breaks, I will look at this level here, psychological level of 7500. If we look to the left of the chart, previous support resistance there as well. It was last week's low area. But for now, I will keep my eyes on 7526 for possible roadblock on this one. I brought my stop in now to just under break even, so I will leave this one to run. Aussie JPY daily chart. This one is stuck in a triangle. I will not touch it. I will wait for the triangle to break. My main plan for this one is to look for possible shorts at 88.05, psychological level, monthly pivot point, previous support resistance, or if we break the downside, 85.11, also psychological level and a monthly pivot point, previous support resistance. US dollar JPY 4-hour chart. Everything shouts here to go long. Daily tells us to long. Last week we closed 97 pips higher than the opening. So if we honor it, we flip from the bottom to the top. Then we've got a zone 114.55 coming down to 114.06. Okay, in the zone we've got that 55 EMA. Always look to the left of the chart. We had previous support resistance in the same area, so that will be key for me. If that for some reason break, keep your eyes on this level here, 113.84. We've got a 200 EMA there, a 55 EMA, a weekly pivot point, and it was last week's low area. That's now if 114.56 doesn't hold. Possible counter trades, I will only look at 115.69 for a turnaround. Possible profit take at 114.63, main weekly pivot point. US dollar CAD 4-hour chart. Beginning of the week, everything shouts to us to go long. We closed 79 pips higher than the opening. That little line here was last week's counter short that I took. This week we need to flip from the bottom to the top. We will have a zone starting at 34.53 coming down to 34.13. In the zone we've got this 34 EMA, but I will prefer the 55 EMA. As the week progressed, the line will move into the Earth and Sky trading zone, so that will be a key support level for me, the 55 EMA. Possible counter trades, I will only look at 35.55 as it was last week's high area plus the weekly pivot point. Possible profit take at 34.56, which is the main weekly pivot point. US dollar index daily chart. I'm flipping the daily chart. Last week we closed only minus 3 pips lower than the opening, so we can't flip the 4-hour. Daily tells us still that we need to look for longs. If we flip the daily from the bottom to the top, we've got a zone starting at 172, coming down to 99.97. We've got nothing in the zone this week. So if that happens at the 38.2 FIP, that holds hands with a 55 EMA, a 200 EMA, and I told you yesterday already that this can be a big support level. Now price turn around and we're busy breaking this level here, 101.57. I was a little bit wary about that level because that can give resistance, plus we have a weekly pivot point there. Okay, so we need to see what's going to happen there. If you're already in longs, keep your eyes on that because we can have a turnaround at 101.57. If that doesn't break to the downside again and we break to the upside, 101.94 can be possible profit take on that one. Possible counter trades at 102.23 because that was last week's high area plus the week before, so there's already a double top there, so that will be a key resistance level at 102.23. Well, that's it. I hope you have an awesome week, and if you've got any questions, please pop in at the forum. I will be able to help you there. Cheers.